Good morning, children. Welcome back to our math session. Today's topic is chances and probability. With that, we are solving exercise 5.3 of chapter 5 data handling. So, let me start. Now, let me start our new topic that is chances and probability. Do you ever leave anything to chance? Like leave out a chapter from your revision because it probably won't come in an exam? These terms, chances and probability, can actually be expressed in mathematical terms, isn't it? Come, let us take a closer look at probability and the probability formula. Okay? Ever heard about a weather forecast at the end of a news bulletin on TV? Or read about the weather conditions of your city or country for the next few days in any newspaper? They specifically use the term probability, isn't it? We are going to learn a few basic concepts, probability formulas involved to calculate the probability for different types of situations. Probability is the measure of uncertainty of any event, any phenomenon happened or bound to happen. Before me going to understand the concept of probability through the various formulas involved to calculate it, we need to understand few crucial terms or make ourselves familiar with the terminology associated with the probability. Right? So, let us explain both these concepts with an example. You have gathered your friends to come and play a friendly board game. It is your turn to roll the dice. You really need a 6 to win the whole game. Is there any way to guarantee that you will roll a 6? Of course, you will have, isn't it? There isn't. What are the chances you will roll a 6? Well, if you apply the basic logic, you will realize you have a 1 in 6 chance of rolling a 6, right? Now, based on the above example, let us look at some concepts of probability. Means, what is probability? Probability can simply be said to be the chance of something happening or not happening. So, the chance of an occurrence of a somewhat likely event is what we call probability. In the example given above, the chance of rolling a 6 was 1 is 6. That was its probability. Clear? Next point is random experiment. Let's say that you toss a fair coin, not a prank coin. There are only two possible outcomes, right? A head or a tail. Also, it is impossible to accurately predict the outcome, a head or a tail, isn't it? In mathematical theory, we consider only those experiments or observations for which we know the set of possible outcomes. Also, it is important that predicting a particular outcome is impossible. Such an experiment where we know the set of all possible results but find it impossible to predict one at any particular execution is a random experiment. Clear? Even if a random experiment is repeated under identical conditions, the outcomes or results may fluctuate or vary randomly. Let's look at another example. You take a fair dice or roll it using a box. When the dice lands, there are only 6 possible outcomes, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. However, predicting which one will occur at any roll of the dice is completely unpredictable, right? So, what is random experiment? A process which results in some well-defined outcome is known as an experiment. Here you rolling the dice was the random experiment since the outcome was not sure. The outcome here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. It cannot be predicted in advance. Making the rolling of dice is a random experiment. Sample space. All possible outcomes or results of an experiment make up its sample space. So in this example, we can say that what is the sample space? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Since a dice once throw can give you only one of these 6 results, isn't it? Now next point is event. When a particular event occurs, like for example, the dice lands on a 6, we can say an event has occurred, right? So we can say every possible outcome of a random experiment is an event. Clear? Next point is equally likely events. Let us now change our example. Say you are now tossing an ordinary coin. Every time you toss it either land or heads or on tails, right? Every time the coin gets tossed, there is a 50% chance of heads and 50% chance of tails. Both events are equally likely. That is, they have an equal chance of happening. This is what we call equally likely events. Clear? Now, occurrence of an event. A particular event will be said to occur if this event is a part of the sample space and such an event actually happens. So the above experiment you can, if you actually roll a 6, the event will have occurred. Clear? Next, probability formula. Now that we have seen the concepts related to probability, let us see how it is actually calculated. To see what are the chances that an event will occur is what probability is. Now it is important to remember that we can only calculate mathematical probability of a random experiment. The equation of probability is PE, that is equal to number of desirable events divided by total number of outcomes. Using this formula, let us calculate the probability of the above example. Here, the desirable event is that your dice lands on a 6. So, there is only one desirable event, isn't it? And the total number of possible events, that is the sample space, is 6. So, we can calculate the probability using the probability formula as PE is equal to 1 upon 6. PE means probability of the event. So that is equal to 1 upon 6. Clear? Now let's start exercise 5.3. Okay, first question. List the outcomes you can see in these experiments. First one is spinning a wheel. Now you can see that in the picture the arrow is on B, isn't it? So on spinning the wheel we can get the following outcomes B, C, D, E and A. Right? So how many outcomes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now second one is tossing two coins together. If you are tossing two coins together and then what are the outcomes? When we coins are tossed together, we get the following outcomes. Head head, head tail, tail head, tail tail. Where H denotes head and T denotes tail, isn't it? So like this HH, HT, TH and TT. So four outcomes are there. Clear? Okay. Now second question. When a die is thrown, list the outcomes of an event of getting a prime number. The prime numbers are 2, 3 and 5. Isn't it? So the required outcomes are 2, 3 and 5 itself. Now B, not a prime number. So what are the composite numbers are there? 1, 4 and 6. So outcome for not a prime number is 1, 4 and 6. So the required outcomes are 1, 4 and 6. Okay. From the second one, a number greater than 5. Outcomes for a number greater than 5 is only 6 is there, isn't it? So the required outcome is 6. And a number not greater than 5. Outcomes for a number not greater than 5 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the required outcomes are same 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Clear? Third question is find the probability of the pointer stopping on D from question number 1A. Total number of sectors is 5, isn't it? A, B, C, D, E. Number of sectors where the pointer stop, that is 1. That is here it is D. So probability of pointer stopping at D, that is 1 upon 5. Clear? Now second one. Probability of getting an ace from a well shuffled deck of 52 playing cards. Number of as, that is 4. You know that, isn't it? Heart, diamond, club and spade. Total number of playing cards, that is 52. So probability of getting an as, that is equal to number of asses divided by total number of playing cards. So 4 upon 52, that is equal to 1 upon 30. You have to remember that always in probability we have to write in simplest form, in shortest form. Okay. So here 4 upon 52 is the correct answer, but in probability we have to write in simplest form. So you have to write it in 1 upon 13. So the correct answer is 1 upon 13. Clear? Now question number 3 of third one. Probability of getting a red apple. See figure below. The apples are green, red, green, green. Isn't it? So how many apples are there total? 7 apples are there. So total number of apples 7. Number of red apples, how many red apples are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 red apples are there. So probability of getting red apples, number of red apples divided by total number of apples. So 4 upon 7. 4 upon 7 is in simplest form, isn't it? So the probability is 4 upon 7. Clear? Now let's see question number 4. Numbers 1 to 10 are written on 10 separate slips. One number on one slip. Kept in a box and mixed well. One slip is chosen from the box without looking into it. What is the probability of first one getting a number 6? Means in one slip, one number is there. So total 10 slips are there. So getting 6 means how many times 6 will come? Only one times, isn't it? Then what is the probability? So the probability of getting a number 6 is 1 upon 10. Clear? Now second question. Getting a number less than 6. Less than 6 means the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many numbers are there? 5 numbers. So total number of outcomes means total slips 10. So the probability of getting a number less than 6, that is 5 upon 10. In simplest form, 1 upon 2. So the answer is 1 upon 2. Now third one, getting a number greater than 6 means 7, 8, 9, 10. How many outcome is there? 4. So the probability of getting a number greater than 6 is 4 upon 10. That is equal to 2 upon 5. So the answer is 2 upon 5. Now fourth question is getting a one digit number. So here 10 is the two digit number, remaining all are one digit numbers, isn't it? So total numbers, one digit numbers are 9, isn't it? What are that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the probability of getting a one digit number is 9 upon 10. So the answer is 9 upon 10. Clear? Okay. Now let's see question number 5. If you have a spinning wheel with 3 green sectors, 1 blue sector and 1 red sector, what is the probability of getting a green sector? What is the probability of getting a non-blue sector? So first we can see total number of sectors, that is 3 plus 1 plus 1, that is equal to 5, isn't it? So probability of getting a green sector, that is number of green sectors divided by total number of sectors, that is 3 upon 5. So the answer is 3 upon 5. Now number of non-blue sectors, that is 3 plus red. 3 green is there, 1 red is there. So 3 plus 1, that is 4. So probability of getting non-blue sector is number of non-blue sector divided by total number of sectors, that is 4 upon 5. So the answer is 4 upon 5. Clear? Now last question. Find the probabilities of the events given in question number 2. So question number 2, first one a prime number, then there one more question was a non-prime number, then second question getting a number greater than 5 or getting a number not greater than 5, isn't it? This was the question. So first one we can take the probability of getting a prime number, that is number of prime numbers divided by total number of outcomes. So prime numbers are 3 there, isn't it? So 3 upon 6, that is equal to 1 upon 2. Now B, probability of getting a non-prime number. Same way, non-prime number also 3 are there, 1, 4 and 6, isn't it? So 3 upon 6 is equal to 1 upon 2. Same way, second question. A, probability of getting a number greater than 5. That is only one number is there. So 1 upon 6 is the answer. Probability of getting not greater than 5 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 upon 6. Total outcome is 6. 5 numbers are there. So 5 upon 6 is the answer. Clear? Okay. So here we are winding up this session. We have completed exercise 5.3 here, means we have completed this lesson also here. Okay. So note down all the questions in your notebook neatly and complete your lesson properly. Okay. Thank you.